So, Cousin Jay, I know there was a lot of bad and brainless this week.
Subscribe!
But what do you got for your good?
You know what? There was a lot of good this week, too. And I have to go with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. So one question the F and Marks Hall of Famer Chris Brown posed in a chat I was having with him is, who are the people that I felt, and actually the question was for you too, came out of WrestleMania the best? And I want to say that he asked for a woman and a man. So the woman that came out best was Rhea Ripley, and the man who came out best was Gunther.
I agree, 100%.
The coming out of WrestleMania, they were bigger stars, much bigger stars than they were going in. And it was because of the quality of the match they had and the dance partners that they had.
I'm going to say this. Rhea Ripley, just because if there was an end boss of the women's division in WWE, it's Charlotte Flair. And Rhea Ripley had a wonderful match against her, went over. So, yes. And Gunther beat 2 former world champions. And
yeah.
He did it convincingly. He got his ass kicked, and he still won the match. And that was the best match. For me, that was the best match. No disrespect to Rhea and Charlotte. That was the best match of the weekend. I would love, in any other, I cannot believe this, in a week where I said that my good was either going to be Sheamus' Intercontinental Champion or Cody Rhodes' champion, and one of those two was going to possibly be my mark-out moment of the year. Neither one of them got my good. My good, and I'm gonna explain, goes to all the non-WWE people who participated in WrestleMania. I'm not including John Cena in this because, yes, I know he's in Hollywood and he's now Peacemaker and all this stuff. He's still a 16-time world champion and has main evented a ton of WrestleManias. So he's excluded from this. I'm talking about Logan Paul, who had a great match against Seth Rollins, once again, proving that he's his worth. Bad Bunny, who helped Ray make sure that Dom didn't get that, the chain and hit Ray with it, and he grabbed it, helped Ray win the match at WrestleMania. Pat McAfee, although he could probably be in that conversation because it's Pat McAfee and I love it. Kittle with a textbook clothesline?
Yeah.
But Snoop Dogg saving the segment on night 2 secured it for me. Because up until that point, it was going to be the triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. Snoop Dogg, Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, all those guys stepped up. They got it for me this week because they were very integral to the success of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What do you got for your bad?
I'm going with Vince seemingly back in charge. Dick Dastardly with his mustache and everything that goes with that. Like, I'm happy that we can continue our podcast without having to change everything we do because he sold to the Saudis. I don't love the fact that this means that we get more of Vince McMahon's brain on our TV every week.
This is such good shit, pal.
I don't need to see it. And the fact that Vince went out there in that interview that he had on CNBC where they asked him, are you going to be part of the creative process? And he said, yes and no. And he lied there. He said, oh, I'm not going to be in the weeds.
Just lying in the weeds.
Clearly, you love being in the weeds. And you've scared away an awful lot of talent from the company already. And it sounds like several talent that are going to be scared off into the hands of Tony Khan or Impact Wrestling or New Japan.
A name to look out for is Drew McIntyre. His contract ends in July. Just putting it out there. And a lot of people who got those new contracts, I think it was in 18 or 19. They all signed 5-year contracts when AEW came in. A lot of those contracts are going to be coming to end soon. And I believe Seth Rollins is up in probably another year too.
Right.
For me, I'm going with John Cena and Austin Theory at WrestleMania. I don't want to keep beating this dead horse into the ground, but when you have a former world heavyweight, a former 16-time world champion, the face of WWE for the last 20 years, and he looked worse than the fact that he was the worst wrestler on a card that included Dominic Mysterio, Omos, and Ronda Rousey. That's all I needed. John Cena and Austin Theory. More so Cena gets my bat for this week.
Okay.
I can't wait for this one. What is your brainless?
I have to go with the Auschwitz thing. You do not let something like that go. I have no doubt that, like, if somebody showed Triple H and or Vince McMahon, this vignette for going into the match, they're like, oh yeah, that looks great. Had no idea that it was Auschwitz. I'm sure, 100% sure of that. But there was somebody somewhere that knew that this was. And it should never have gotten by anybody. As much as they're trying to play off this Dom Mysterio, storyline, like, oh, he went into the big house. That's not the big house that you want to showcase and you don't want to mess with. That was a big L. Even like when I saw it on TV, I'm like, oh no, that looks cool. But then when you find out what it is, that's just completely jacked up. That's classless and has no place being in anything that is entertainment. That is my brainless.
And if they wanted to kind of do something like that where they added a scene from something, you guys were doing WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, Prison Shawshank would have made a hell of a lot more sense. And I had a feeling you were going to go with the Auschwitz, and I wanted to go with it too, except for the fact that I didn't even realize it was Auschwitz. So I kind of said, well, if I give WWE the brainless for the Auschwitz, I have to give myself the brainless. And I'm not giving myself the brainless, damn it. Again. Because Ric Flair gets my brainless this week. I don't know what part of this week I want to mention with Ric Flair, but it's just to a point now where I just, like, every time he opens his mouth, I can't.
Adventure.
So on top of the fact that he said that Charlotte and Rhea should have been the main event of night one, storyline-wise, I'm sorry. Sami Zayn was more over than either one of them, no disrespect to Charlotte or Rhea Ripley. That was Sami's moment, and he deserved it. He's been busting his ass. He has been the highlight and the MVP of the Bloodline story since he got put in it last summer. And the fact is, you were like, well, they don't listen to tradition, and tradition is that the Royal Rumble winner wrestles in the main event of WrestleMania. What? Sheamus won the 1992 Royal Rumble. Or not the 1990. Oh, my God. Sorry. Sheamus won the
1992 Royal Rumble.
All right.
2010?
2012. Sheamus won the 2012. That's why I had the 2 in my head. I was just off by 20 years. Sheamus won the Rumble in 2012. He led off WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship against Daniel Bryan. Likewise, Seth Rollins, I believe it was in 2019, won the Royal Rumble. He started off WrestleMania 35 against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship.
Alberto Del Rio in 2011 won the Royal Rumble, had the curtain jerker match against Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I'm just saying, Rick, that doesn't seem like, tradition. But on top of that, on top of saying all this stuff, you also said Vince being back in charge is a good thing for WWE. But that's not even the icing on the cake, Jay. He solidified getting the brainless on Friday during the Hall of Fame induction speech as he was inducting the great Muta into the Hall of Fame. And instead of talking about Muta and making this all about Muta, in prototypical Ric Flair fashion, he pulled a Michael Jordan and was just smug. Well, this should have been Sting, but, Sting can't be here. Muta was the greatest Japanese wrestler of all time. And this is from somebody who fought Giant Baba. I fought Antonio Inoki. And by the way, here's Muta.
Yeah.
Ric Flair is the only person on planet Earth that I can think of who can make somebody else's Hall of Fame induction about himself. Every time that man opens his mouth, I just want to deliver one of these into his suckhole. I am sick and tired of it. I have been so anti-Flair since the Dark Side of the Ring episode that made him that shed the light that he was the big piece of shit that he really is. So for me, Ric Flair, in a week where Cena shit his shorts, Vince McMahon absolutely obliterated Monday Night Raw, and all the other crap we got, Ric Flair, congratulations, you got my brand list this week.